Everybody, good afternoon, good evening. Joy, good to see you again. Hey, Goose, Joy's here. You were asking me about her yesterday. Um, Good to see everybody. Welcome to not the last, but the next to last 30 minutes of awesome in 2025. Holy moly. Feels weird to say that. Weird to say that. We got 5 trading days left. Tomorrow's a half day. Thursday's closed. Friday's a regular day. Then we got 3 days next week that are just regular days. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. New Year's Eve, regular day. Then New Year's Day closed on Thursday next week. So back-to-back Thursday closes. And Friday is a regular day. First trading day of 2026, next Friday. Blows my mind a little bit. So, Santa Rally. What all we're going to get probably is happening right now. It might wrap up Friday. So we might see the end of that by Friday. Typically, historically, 20-year average, we pull back about a 0.5% or more rolling into the new year. It's just kind of like that, the way this rolls. Gold, silver, cotton, copper, gold, silver, copper, platinum, palladium, all kind of on a tear. Palladium might be the big catch-up trade. And interesting that cocoa was listed as no exposure in 2025, but index funds that, broad index funds, not just like S&P or Nasdaq, but broad index funds need to have about 1.5% exposure to cocoa futures next year, currently 0%. And if all the broad index funds actually buy cocoa futures next year by the second week of January, so that they're on pace, that'd be 25% of all the open interest on cocoa. That's kind of crazy. So that'll be interesting. And so commodities set for an interesting run next year, particularly cocoa. That's forced buying that has to take place in cocoa between now. Basically it'll take place probably that first full week into the second week of January. How we take advantage of that, I'm not sure. I just I saw it out there as I dig through some of the rebalancing stuff. It was interesting. I thought it was interesting. And anyway, before we talk real trades, all trading involves a substantial risk of loss. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. This presentation intended to be informational, educational, fun, entertaining. Not a recommendation to be buying or selling any financial instrument, including stocks, options, bonds, forex, futures, cryptos, treasuries. I make predictions. I don't have a crystal ball. I got a bag of unicorn dust, sprinkled on the markets as much as I can. But, in reality, the whole market's just a big dumpster fire. And it's a green dumpster, so you can barely see it, but it's a giant dumpster fire. Welcome to the show, everybody. Evening. We're going to do at least 30 minutes of analysis by your requests. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some markets. Then we'll do requests. And if I'm still got enough energy and everything to go, I'll, we'll switch over to members only stream at about 6 o'clock p.m. Right now it's 5:02. And we'll finish up any requests there are. Basically the member only stream is an ask me anything type deal. It's not the most exciting week trading wise. Next week's going to be about as much fun watching paint dry. Low volume, low, it's low everything this week. Next week, it's just the way holiday weeks are. Typically, Thanksgiving week was actually a little spicy this year compared to normal. Usually Thanksgiving week boring, Christmas week boring, New Year's week boring. Those 3 weeks tough to make money, but I'm here making money, posting trades, making money as much as I possibly can. So let's see. We talked about this a little bit last week with the Santa Rally. We're actually getting a little bit of juice here. A little bit of juice right here. This is Nasdaq. This is I guess I should make this bigger and fill up the whole screen here. And so this is Nasdaq seasonality. I grabbed this from back here in March, February, March, this version, but this was accurate to 2024. So 20-year average. Just take all the performance each day, pile it on top of each other, 20 years. This is how the average year, the last 20 years goes. Now, average is not always representative of what happens, but as we can see, the vertical lines are, that's the end of January, into March, January, February, March, April, all the way across here. The last block, December right here. That's the beginning of December, end of December. Typically, 20-year average, we do nothing for 2 weeks. Little rally. That's the Santa rally. Everybody talks like the Santa rally starts here and ends here. This is the real Santa rally right here, Christmas week. And then we get a sell-off into the new year. Hey, Kimberly, my favorite subscriber. Dun, 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 dun. And we do have a Christmas Eve baby birthday. And then January tends to be a little choppy. A little bit choppy. So maybe a little. This is usually, I was talking about that rebalancing. That first full week of the year, that's usually where that comes in right there. Right where it says Jan. That little bitty blip, about 1% up. That's that January rebalancing. Then the rest of January is usually just kind of choppy. Then we get earnings ramping up and pop into February, sell back off, run into, then. So January to about the second week of March, on average, a scratch, pretty much. And then get that run up into the sell in May, go away. Little pop into June, little pop into July. Or I guess July is typically one of the most bullish months. Look at that. For Nasdaq anyway. I'm not talking about S&P, just Nasdaq, big tech. I could pull up S&P, I guess, but less fun to talk about. This is the real performance. These numbers are way bigger. S&P typically tops out like 8% a year, whereas this one has been running on up here near 18%, 17% a year, 16, 17% a year. So pretty spicy compared to 10%. Anyway, there you go, right there. I wouldn't put all my eggs on this kind of thing, but this is just a generality of what you can expect on the year. And this is the 20-year average, so the last 20 years, this is kind of how it's gone. Now, we did get a big pullback. That was COVID in March, and you can see it's not some big detrimental thing in here. So, COVID did weigh in here, but on average, right there you go. So, tough, choppy trading. Nice little run here. A little bit of choppy trading, drift higher. Nice little run here in July. Choppy trading. This is kind of what we had. And then October to December tends to push higher. Now, this year, we've kind of this has been more flat this year, right? We're not back through where we started at the end of October. We're actually just kind of flat here. So this is not really taking place from beginning of November through December. It's more flattened out this year. So that just shows you, doesn't always happen this way, but right there would be your Santa rally. I wouldn't necessarily expect it to last through the 3 days next week. Friday might be the end of this thing. So we need a short gold. That's gold. We'll talk gold and silver here in a minute, but it's due for a pullback. But the irrationalness can continue, possibly through 5,000. I've talked about that for a while, that gold relative to the market is still quite undervalued, actually. Despite it being one of the biggest performers of the year, it's been underperforming for years. And relative to worldwide assets, we're actually still quite undervalued. And if gold went back to the historical average, let's see. I may have to dig for this chart. I had this about a year ago, probably. About this time last year when we were talking about this. Let me see if I have this pinned anywhere. Not sure I'm going to find it. Let's see. Back a year. Now I'm back 2 years, and yeah, I'm not finding it. Dang. Let's see. Maybe I can just jump back a year and look around what I have a channel that I send messages to myself for topics that I talk about right here. And usually I don't ever delete anything. I keep it all. So it's just a matter of me figuring out where I talked about it. Let's see. Yeah, there's gold. Let's see. What's that? It posted a link that said something on gold. Let me look real quick back here. And that may have been it. Let's roll back down. Roll back down. I shared the channel, but there's other stuff in there too that doesn't need to get shared publicly. Let's see. And is this got the historic chart? It just says the comics chart. And this is just the paper shortage of gold. Let me pull this over. This is showing how the big three COMEX banks, JP Morgan, Brinks, and HSBC, they were pulling in gold, but they're actually, what's crazy is that the blue is the amount of like paper gold. The red is the amount of physical gold. This is why there's a problem when you trade like GLD. They sell way more paper gold, and this was all the way back at the beginning of the year. They sell way more paper gold than they do physical gold, you know, that's in the vault. So if people trading the futures all wanted delivery, it would be missing. And GLD is based on the blue, not on the red. You know, Sprott Funds has the gold, and they're in the red. This is what I was talking about this morning too. Is there's a shortage of silver. You know, silver's worse than this. This is just the gold chart. I don't have the silver chart, but it's like 3 times worse. They sell 3 times more paper silver than they do. So the shortage there is a giant potential. And this is back from a year ago, so you know, back in January. Looking for that other chart I had that showed the historical. I don't even know if I posted it to myself. So if the ratio of what it is, the ratio of global assets, basically remember how it goes. So we look at the global assets sitting right around $134 trillion. Gold sitting at $30 trillion. Now, for the value, you know, this gold usually sits at an equivalency of all the rest of the value, right? Like gold, it's usually like a parity, like because gold was used for money, right? So the value of everything else was only what the value of gold was. And then you can look at the total value of all the assets tracked by infinite market cap here, 185 trillion. But if you just looked at the value of the companies and the value of gold, you divide that, I mean, that's relatively simple calculation. 134 trillion divided by 30 trillion. That would be 4.45 times higher, or 4.4 times higher. So you take that 4,500 that gold was hitting today. That shows 4,300. Let's refresh this and try to get current prices here. 4.5, 4,500 bucks today. 137 trillion. So let's just redo the calculation there. Clear. 137 trillion. Yeah, this is just always rough anyway. Divided by 31 trillion, 31.3. That'd be 4.37 times. Yeah, it's going to be basically the same price regardless. 4,500 in round numbers times 4.3. $19,000 an ounce for gold to represent the value of the companies. Now, if it was more like the value of everything tracked by infinite market cap, which includes Bitcoin and everything else, which, arguably this includes gold in it. So I'm not sure that that's accurate to do, but you can take out the value of gold, 31 trillion, and just say 158 trillion divided by 31.3 trillion, 31.4 trillion. So 5 times. And the value of gold going up 4,500 times 5. So if gold was worth everything, if everything was valued in gold, gold should be worth roughly $22,000 an ounce. Now the ratio of silver to gold, 15-1 is historically, that's the roughly what it is in the crust. When you find gold, you find silver. For every ounce of gold there's usually 15 ounces of silver found. And just at the current prices, 45, 15 divided by 15, $300 an ounce for silver. If we went back to the historical $15 an ounce. So, can you print more gold? Yeah, that's people have been trying to, supposedly an alchemist bombarded high energy particles into, it wasn't lead, it was some other, I don't remember what it was. One of the other, I could probably figure it out on the, let's see. Atomic table of elements. Let me see let's see. Periodic elements. Cool. I love ads. My favorite. Let's see. Gold is hanging out right in here somewhere. Lithium. This is not what I usually do, so I have to take a moment to make it bigger. Cool. Open an image in a new tab. There we go. Now I can read. So, jumping in here. Copper, gold is right there. Platinum right beside it. They were taking, what was it? I think they were shooting, they were like shooting xenon into something that was very abundant, like aluminum. Does that add up right? Let's see, 79, 13, maybe 69. Not quite there. Let's see. I think they were shooting xenon, plasma, electron, or whatever charged particles of xenon into something else with one of those high energy colliders, and they were getting gold atoms fly out. It was crazy. So, alchemy, I guess. It's more like physics. So they're shooting high energy particles at each other and getting gold to pop out, but it was radioactive gold that actually decayed. So, anyway, weird stuff. So, Anyway, back to it. So if gold were valued at the same value, equivalent value of all the companies, we're looking at something around $20,000 an ounce. So potential to go higher. Could still go up like 4 times. Silver just to become, just to come up to the historic ratio, 1/15 of gold. Could be $300 an ounce. Pretty wild. Pretty wild. And let's see how many ounces of silver they're purporting there to be. It's 4031. That's billions. There we go. 4 trillion divided by 71. That'd be that many ounces. 56 billion ounces of silver compared to gold. So it's kind of crazy. Can Trump tax gold? How do you prove anybody has gold? So if you have paper gold, sure. If you have physical gold, I lost all my gold in a boating accident along with my guns. I don't know what you're talking about. All my guns, all my gold, all my platinum, it's all at the bottom of the lake. Tipped over. So, yeah, they're not going to find LiDAR. Anyway, big trade right here, Rocket Lab. This is a roadmap bounce. Right there was the high. Right there was the low. Here was the entry. Did dip. I bought 70 strike call. Sold an 80 strike call. Cost me like $1.99, $1.98. Right there when I did it, which was right over here on this candle. Right here. It's worth 150% more. 150% gain. I'm looking to close it for 7. Max would be 10, but I'm not going to hold it that long, I don't think. I'm not sure we're going to keep ripping. And we could, but my order to close is at 7, so a little over 3x my money. So that trade's probably played out, though. We're closer to the target. If you didn't get in it, you didn't grab it. It's probably spent for now. Right there. So look at the gold charts. If we're going to keep ripping, upside, resistance at 4,600, 5,000 is a real, that's a real deal target. It's a crazy target, but it's a real deal target up here. And then looking at the weekly chart, from all the way back here, that high, that low, we're at basically at the 272, 2.272, where we're hanging out right here. 2618, 5,000. This is why it's not that crazy to be talking about numbers up here around 13,000. Yes, that's just the 4236, 3618, 9200. But I do think we're going to find a significant resistance if we just rip on up higher, 5,000. Probably a major resistance right here. Psychologically, fib-wise, anything else you want to talk about? And then silver is almost to that 73 target right there. And if we just catch up to, this is what's crazy, we just catch up to where gold is on that 272. Look at the number. 300. That's without gold doing anything. Silver just continuing the march higher. Short squeeze style, baby. essentially. And then copper, whole new world. From back here to here. So we're just now at the 1272. $8 could be. It's very unusual that we get all the metals running at the same time, but this big correction we did, trouble getting through, higher low, broke up, retraced, coming on up, hit the 1272 here, 1618, like $8. I didn't snap these on, so they're just rough. So we're looking at $8 up here. This already hit that, retraced back to the breakout. So this is the next target, $8 on copper. $11, and if we catch up to gold, be up here at $14 right there. That's like $14,000 per ton, basically. I think it is something like that. Oh, dollars per pound, $14 per pound. So that makes it a lot per ton. $14 a pound. EVs, solar, nuclear power plants, everything needs copper. We're not making more of it. We're finding more of it, but not making more of it. And then platinum. Man, that thing's rocking. Long-term correction here. Big upside targets, 2,800, 3,400, 5,500. And we're already getting close to this one, 2,800. So 5,500 up here. That's probably where we're going to, if this train doesn't slow down, we're coming up here. And if it got up to the 272, that'd be $14,000 an ounce for platinum. Palladium, this is the sleeper right here. Just now breaking out. Upside right there. 41.79. If we go up to the 1618, it'd be $8,000 an ounce. SPPP. Oh, this is a way to get platinum and palladium in one go. Right there. Otherwise, PALL is palladium. And PPLT is platinum. So there you go. That's yeah, you can, I mean, there's other stuff you can play like SCC, Southern Copper, never remember that one. SCCO. What I typed wrong there. SCCO. So this one's already kind of topping out a little bit. My pick for a bigger breakout is FCX. This thing's been consolidating for a long time and has the potential. Well, it's already breaking out. It's already on the run, but potential to come on up here to 80 in the short term. And then this much bigger pattern we did from this high down to this low takes us to 95, 140, possibly 363. If this thing really gets rocking and rolling. And we may ping pong through here. Climb the fib ladder like that. Ping pong, bing bang. So, and I mean, there's lots of stuff you can do. So, anyway. Yeah, I hit my head when I was on the lake. I don't really remember where I was for sure. May have been Lake Michigan, but could have been Lake Ontario or the Great Salt Lake, maybe. I don't know. Maybe Lake I don't remember. Lake Placid. I don't know. So, there you go. We'll do requests for a few minutes. So, rules of the game, capital letters. Type in your ticker. If you got a question, please use complete sentences. Please avoid questions with this, that, these, or those, it. Any comments with those kind of, like, thanks for that. I have no idea what you were talking about. Thanks for the ticker. Things like that would be great. I'm going to do daily analysis, daily chart analysis, unless I see something that catches my attention. If you got a particular slant on anything, let me know. I'll do my best. I see COPEX. Like I said, we'll go till 6 o'clock. We'll switch over to an Ask Me Anything, and then I'll try to hit the rest of the tickers. COPEX is copper miners. I talked about several this morning. COPEX was one of those. There's some other tickers involved. If you want to know more about it, go check out the morning show. And then GILD. And potential to come on up here to 128. We were kind of there. We pulled back, retested. So maybe we can go up to 140. Same kind of bouncing around thing. Like, I mean, that was the entry. Came up to resistance, retraced back to the 618, came up, hit that 1448, retraced again, came up to the 1272, retraced the breakout. Now potential 140. Classic kind of grinding higher price action right there. MVT, I think I covered. I was like, I think I covered that this morning. No, that wasn't on the morning list. SCCO was. Roadmap line came up shy of that. I still expect it to hit there. Big sloppy. Could go on down a little further than that. We did hit the 1618 right there. So here's the high. Here's the low. There's the next high. Probably down in this 86 area. Would be where I would expect to bottom out, right in here. Doesn't have to, but that's what I would expect given the current price action here. Even though we rallied a little bit, somewhere down in there would be my expectation. It doesn't have to happen, doesn't always happen. I don't have a crystal ball, just, unicorn dust and some fib lines and stuff like that. So that's it. Invent for you. Roll back up. NB. I already sit on the roadmap line here. If you don't have the roadmap line, links in the description. It's like $5. It's also pinned to the homepage. You can just get the code and find out how it works right there. It's very simple. It's just a couple of EMAs, some shading, and I call it color it orange because it's handy. It shows up real nice, but price tends to respect this right here. Why? Because of humans. It's a Fibonacci based EMA, and we humans are just herd animals, and we tend to follow the herd. And this, when you're looking at the right time frame, tends to bounce and find support. And then when we get through the 618 level with a daily close, candle close, 75% likely we're going to get that continuation to 14. Now, low price stuff is a little bit less reliable, so be careful playing with things under $10, under $20. This is under 10 particularly. The stop on this pattern is $1 below the low, so right now that's 20%. $1 on a $5 stop is $4, which is 20%. Now, the upside potential here is also 60%. And the stop would be down here, $1 below the low, which would be pretty big, all the way down here to 54%. That's almost a 1-to-1. But that's a lot of risk and a lot of reward relative to the price right there. So that's NB for you. Rio Tinto. Yeah, I had a breakout potential here, and looks like we're breaking out. So the mouth back here, something roughly like that. So potential to come on up to 107 maybe. If we can get actually get all the way up there. This is a watermelon seed squeeze pattern. They sometimes fake out, but this one appears to be breaking, higher high, higher high, higher high, higher high. So the likelihood we just continue on up is elevated. Tesla was the most recent one that we kind of did this on, where we squeezed for part of the summer. Right here, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Then we popped out, made it all the way up to the top of the mouth right here. So with any luck, Rio Tinto will do the same. Put it up there, somewhere around 107 right there. Fib lines won't really matter at that point. Now, look at the fib line. Now, we did kind of get sloppy here on that breakout, so not so sure, but yeah, that was like a failed breakdown and then reversal, so I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. That would also be in line with that 618 right there, so I mean the 1272, excuse me. 90% of the 1272, that's what that 1448 is in the vicinity. So we'll see if that works. Now this could take a while, could take a long while. This was like a monthly chart bounce. So this doesn't have to happen in any fast time frame. Like you see, this thing tends to kind of go slow. If we kind of go back with that speed, could be out here a couple years to get there. So if you're trying to play options and be fast, I would be careful. Just not the way Rio Tinto typically moves. PLTR. So this is a question of what's stronger. Is the bounce off the roadmap stronger for the this daily chart roadmap? If that was the stronger move, 218 is the upside target. If we're stalling out right here and a bigger correction takes hold, this is the bigger target area, 131, with potential to kind of match the size of the pullback we did back here. That could lead down to like 105. Put that back up there at 131. That's what I've got on PLTR. Like it's kind of a flip a coin thing. Like it's 75% likely to get up to this 218 level, just based on the daily chart working out. But bigger picture, we also could use a deeper retrace. That went really high. We haven't been down to the weekly roadmap line in a long time, like 2 years. So, like all good things, they come to an end eventually. Even the 3-day, we haven't been down there in even longer than the weekly. Crazy. So, we just don't usually run really hot for a long time on most charts without some sort of pullback. Eventually, they all come to an end. And Copex, we did that one. DLR. Copex is topped out. Like there's the pullback is likely. How much higher? There's not really much higher. So DLR, we're at this uptrend of lows. If we don't hold it, probably taking a bigger spill. And this is a real estate investment trust. Real estate investment trusts don't always follow the pattern. At least not on a non-adjusted basis. Now, when we click this little button right here, they tend to respect the pattern more often because they pay a dividend, a high dividend. And I would expect this to rally on up to 202. Of course, this is flexible because every time it pays a dividend, everything changes. That's the problem using the ADJ button down here. Is that you can't rely on this target to stay this target because every time it pays, everything changes. All the prior price action changes. Now, this pullback right here, you can see we topped out 1272, pulled back to the breakout 154, and this is all on an adjusted basis. So every time it pays a dividend, these numbers change. Upside potential 237 area on an adjusted basis. And that's every time the dividend pays, it counts into the cost basis. Doesn't quite look like that on the non-adjusted basis. Doesn't look like that at all. So real estate investment trusts are kind of special because they're legally required to pay out 90% of their income via returns to the shareholders. So, and some of them will pay out the NAV. You got to be careful. This one probably relatively safe at 3%, but I don't know, the payout ratio 126%. So that's NAV erosion if that is the case. Let's see, ALAB. Golly, fingers on the right keys. Dropping, sitting on the roadmap line. If we break back above the 201 area, should be good for 287. Downside, well, we got support right here at this gap fill, which is basically where we're stopping and sitting on the roadmap line here. And start pushing below that, could take a whole nother leg lower, probably down to this support zone. Would be my guess, right in here. Could find support there, but probably there would be the more likely. So if we were to break down, and we're trying to push through that downtrend of highs, but it's not gotten any enthusiasm and not made any higher highs yet. So if we break down here, first level and second level. So target on the upside, 287. If we can do that. Lily, target, nothing changed from when I talked about this morning. 1279 upside target. This ping-ponged right here. Hit the 1.272. Back to the retest, the breakouts. Next level up. Right there. CRSP. And here's what I expected from CRSP. Looks like so far we got that move up, took a little longer, and we're working on the retrace right here. So that's cool. I love it when people call me during the show. And that was an advertisement from another guru that I bought from in the past. AMR. Nothing. If we break above the 618 right here, possibly 561. We're just grinding this area. It's been doing nothing for almost 3 years, so don't really expect a lot here on AMR. ATI. We're at that 1618, so watch out for resistance here. If it turns down, this can come back to the roadmap line pretty easy. If we break on higher, 131, 143. And a lot of times we come on up here and stall out somewhere up in this zone around 200% and then come back down. If we're just rocketing up higher, occasionally, like less than 1% of stuff will just keep rocking and rocking and rocking all the way up here. But right now it doesn't look like that's going to be one for that. But never know. It's, other metals and miners, and crazy can be super crazy. So I don't know what the gamma ray detector is. Oh, talk about gamma ray. Yeah. BM1. Yeah, I'll find it later. I can post it. If you're really interested about the, shooting high energy particles into other particles and making gold atoms. It was just atoms. It wasn't like I can touch it. It was just they detected radioactive gold that decayed into something else. So it wasn't even stable. It was just technically gold. I read about a lot of this stuff over the weekend because it absolutely fascinates me. It's YouTube was like, you are most likely to invent something that nobody knew they needed, based on what I watch on YouTube. So BMY, there's the high, there's the low. Here's the close potential above the 618 right there. If we get continuation, 75% likely, 66, 87 there. Now this is bigger than a daily chart bounce. It's bigger than a 3-day bounce. Shoot, it's even bigger than, this is scarily like, here's the trend. This was the pullback. Bounce off of here, bounce off of here. this being the low, this being the high right here. I'm just sloppy. Quit being sloppy. This is the low right here. This is the high right here. Let me move the fib line so it doesn't confuse anybody. You do it this way. Here. First point, second point. We got the close below the 618. And this is just upside down on what I've been normally talking about. Retrace back to the roadmap line. Continuation would be this way on BMY. 36. And probably round up 37, 38 is the target there. So if this starts coming back down, that would be the very real target there. It's just upside down roadmap line stuff. That's the trend. That's the pullback. Continuation. Yeah, bigger picture. Looks like it's still in a correction. So that's why I have a giant down arrow here, because if this gets continuation lower, first move down, retrace, second move down, put it down here around 15. And DLTR. I guess we should start the countdown here. Remember, I'm going to switch to members only stream in 15 minutes. 6 o'clock. So Dollar Tree hit the target. Like, I'm out. What's next? All the way back down here. That's what I expect. That was 5 up. Complete. That started back here in November of 24, over a year ago. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was it. Retrace 1, 2, 3, probably back down in the vicinity of the 4, which is where we came from, around 85. And then we can look for bigger picture, bigger upside target. Now all this played out, let's just delete all these fib lines. There's the low, there's the high. Yeah, 618 right in the vicinity of 4. Right back here would be the next move. And then that sets us up for even bigger move. So this was all in my plan, and that's why I liquidated out of DLTR. Where I did. And this fib line. That high. This potential low. It's just a guess right now. We could bottom as high as 91. It could go as low as 70. I'm just going to use the 618 right now. And if that next move plays out, that's where this comes into play up here. The next move could be like this. Right up in here. 300. So I'm going to be looking to possibly add some more back onto Dollar Tree. I'll pull back to this area right here. So that'd be what I was looking for on Dollar Tree. And pull that down. Yep. So looking for this to pull back. And then start on the next move higher. Right there. ONDS. So it didn't hit the roadmap line and that pullback. That's a 4-hour bounce, but still in the blue zone there. While this did trigger the upside potential for 12, low price stuff again, caution. That just looks like what we might be trying to do right here. It should be a first move down, retrace. Since we didn't actually hit the roadmap line, that's an absolutely beautiful correction. Be that potential right there. ENR. Siemens Energy. Yeah, that was a 4-hour bounce. 4-hour chart bounce right there. Paching. Hit the target, retraced again. Very often, more often than not, as soon as we hit the target, we retrace. Hit the target, retraced. And you see this occur over and over. Retrace. Hit the target. Probably going to retrace. Will be the next move. After doing that right there, back to a retrace. And one of these times we're going to break down below the lows and go on a deeper retrace. And that's where we would probably hit the daily roadmap line here. So following on that upper path until we break down below it. Then we'll get that. And then we can work on a bigger bounce. And this might not be relevant because that low is the lowest low. Yeah, it's probably not relevant. Everything past the, everything to the left of the lowest low doesn't really matter in the current move because this was all corrective. And we don't know where the high was that we're correcting off of because it was before the IPO. Makes it difficult. There's not really any pullbacks per se in here, so when this runs out of juice here, the pullback's going to be pretty bad, pretty vicious on ENR. UAO, like I said, when the time runs out here in 9 minutes, I'm going to keep going. The members only stream will automatically switch over. You don't have to do anything if you're a channel member. If you're not a channel member, you got like 9 minutes to buy a channel membership. I'm sorry. And we'll just keep going that way. Otherwise, I'll be back in the morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. Half day tomorrow. 1 p.m. close. UAL still has that upside target right there. 130. Kind of where I've been looking for price to go since back here in May, June when we reversed. Maybe I should have got back on it here, but I didn't. And 130 is where we're probably heading on UAL. Booz Allen, no, Bunger Home, Bungarome Hospital. Oh, that looks bad. Bungarome looks like it's going down. Back to the lows. Bungarome. WDC. Yeah, upside resistance coming up here at 225 area. Humana. Well, if we can break through the downtrend, got the bigger upside potential. 440. Otherwise, probably going lower low if we don't break out. Marquet. Yeah, that's being bullish. I was all over this earlier in the year. And still got upside potential. Could be up here at 160. And this pullback plays out. Yeah, 145, 160. And then the bigger targets are up here. 300. It could be a triple from where we are. That's one reason why I was playing it when it was back at 60. I just didn't have the guts to hold on to it long enough. Wanted to keep using my money other places. Jazz. Stuck in this long-term sideways chop. Don't really expect it to break out because it hadn't been able to break out for 20 years. 10, 12, 15 years, whatever. 14 years. 13 years. I don't know, whatever it is. 12 years. Long freaking time. Just been chopping. It's a big zone, but it's like a 95-point zone, but hadn't been able to do anything. So I stock at rest tends to stay at rest, and hadn't done any big flush out, hadn't done any breakout actions. So I don't really expect it to do anything. For solar, we're coming to the end of the tax credits for solar. Be careful. We may see a wicked pullback in solar coming in the new year. This has an opportunity to pop that final 352 target right there. That's been classic price action right there. So can we get that little pop into the new year, or we're going to stall out right here at the prior high with the tax credits gone on solar? May see this plummet into the abyss. HIMS sitting here, consolidating, probably going to go for this weekly roadmap line. Right there, before we can bounce. Up here. That's what it looks like we're working on here. So there's the potential for the weekly bounce and potentially targets 81, 91, 95, 99, 125. Bigger target up there, 133, possibly 193. The bigger bounce. If we stay above this point over here. If we start overlapping this point, I'm not sure on HIMS. Yeah, it's not very clear on the daily chart, but the weekly chart, fairly clear. And Microsoft. If we can't break through the daily roadmap line, I cover this one every morning. So if you haven't stayed up on what's going on, you should go check out the morning show. If we can't break through here, downside is down here. If we can, new upside target, 337. No, 565. 565. Sorry, thinking of Google, I think it's 337. If we break higher, resistance right there, 520. And then 565, we missed it right there. We came up just shy. And then came right down to the roadmap line. Struggling underneath it can lead to this bigger retrace. And then that sets up a bigger upside. But this is looking like we topped out on Microsoft for a while. Quite honestly, would not be surprised to get a bigger 618 retrace. HBB, downtrend. Where's this going to end? Don't know. So we're going down to at least 11 right now. And INOD. Sitting here at the roadmap line, struggling to get through. If we can pop back up through 73, be looking for 102 on the upside. If we fail that, we may come back and fill in this gap right back here. Tried to fill it in before. May come back and retest that again if we don't get any upside here. JBL. Yeah, 243 upside. Still in play. Nike. And yeah, still looking for this to hold in here. Now, if we don't hold, at the line here, if we don't hold here, probably going lower low, and then we have to rebuild the reversal. Right now, we have a reversal pattern in place. If we can hold on to it, break back higher, it's positive. This has a big picture pullback, holding in here, sets up the much bigger upside pattern. Bigger upside potential, like 300, but not holding on to that. You know, worst case scenario, we could be down here 15, but not holding on to it opens up the door for 48 right now, right in here. So need to hold on to that 56 area. I think that's where my alert is right there. 56, yeah, 5601. Need to hold on to that. I did, you know, I sold a put at 59, got put 100 shares at 59. I'm sitting on them. There is a Sydney Sweeney ad campaign due out in January to help Nike reverse, just so you know. That has done wonders for, you know, other brands. We'll see if it holds for Nike. So ALC. Other brands have reacted very positively to that. We'll see if Nike does too. ABC down in the ditch here, coming up to the roadmap line. If we can bust higher, great. That's resistance. If we don't, downside, maybe 69 on ALC. MZ is just 2x leverage. Be careful on leverage. Both ways there. already covered Kim's. Just take the size of the move and 2x it, and that's HIMZ for you. And leverage doesn't always follow the pattern, so it's kind of pointless to chart it. Or LY. This is interesting because we moved down in the first move. We came back, found resistance at the 618. Sets up the next move on this deeper retrace here. Maybe down to a weekly roadmap line. Maybe a 3-day. Let's check it out. This did recently split. Following the split pattern where things that split tend to go into a bearish correction. That's exactly what we're getting here. Oh yeah, look at that. Weekly roadmap line. I bet you that's where we're heading. Somewhere in that 76 to 80 zone right in here. It's probably where it's going. Hadn't been down there in a good long while, since 2020. And PR. All right, we're going to switch over to members only stream here in just a second. So if you want to see the tickers and the things you requested, they'll be on the members only stream. Members, you'll be switched over automatically.